Why 3 a.m.? Have you ever opened your eyes at exactly 3:00 a.m. and just stared into the dark, wondering, why now? You're not alone. In fact, this quiet question echoes through the homes of millions of older adults across the world. It's that moment when the house is silent, the world is still, and suddenly you're wide awake. No loud noise, no nightmare, just you, awake, at 3:00 a.m. And here's the truth, it's more than just a quirky sleep pattern. This early morning awakening is not just a random fluke, it's often your body whispering something deeper, something important. And the more we understand it, the more power we have to respond with compassion instead of frustration. See, at Elderly Active Living, we've heard this question again and again. That's why this video isn't just about sleep, it's about awareness. It's about listening to what your body is really trying to tell you when it wakes you up in the middle of the night. Because that 3 a.m. moment, it might just be one of the most revealing times in your 24-hour cycle. Throughout this video, we're going to explore 7 meaningful reasons why people over 60 often wake up at this exact time, and none of them are as simple as meaningless as you might think. We'll uncover the science of hormonal changes, shifts in your internal body clock, emotional rhythms, and even the quiet habits that you didn't know were influencing your sleep. But we're not just listing causes. We're going to dive deeper. Each reason comes with a new way of thinking about your body, your routine, and your well-being. We'll share real stories from people just like you, people who felt frustrated, confused, even a little worried until they realized that waking at 3:00 a.m. was a clue, not a curse. So, if you found yourself lying awake in the dark, staring at the ceiling, and asking, why now? Stay with us. You're not broken. You're not alone. You're evolving. And what we're about to explore may help you sleep better not just by night, but in how you understand your body during the day. Let's begin. And as always, if this topic resonates with you, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with someone who might need it. Because at Elderly Active Living, we believe aging is not about fading away, it's about waking up, even at 3 a.m. Part 1. Melatonin Decline. A Fading Sleep Compass. Have you ever wondered why sleep seems more fragile as we grow older? Why falling asleep may still feel easy, but staying asleep becomes a quiet battle? One of the hidden reasons lies in a humble but powerful hormone, melatonin. Melatonin is your body's natural nightlight switch. It's the quiet messenger that whispers to your brain, it's time to sleep. In your younger years, melatonin flowed with strength and rhythm. It helped you slip into deep, restorative sleep and stay there for hours. But with age, that gentle river of melatonin begins to dry out. It doesn't disappear, but it slows. And around 3:00 a.m., many older adults feel the shift. You wake up not because of a bad dream or a loud noise, but because your internal sleep signal simply faded out. This isn't something you've done wrong. It isn't even a health problem. It's simply part of the natural rhythm of aging. The body's internal clock becomes softer. And when that signal weakens in the early morning hours, your brain stirs. You open your eyes. You wonder why. Light plays a sneaky role here, too. As we age, even tiny sources of light become powerful interrupters. The glow of a hallway light, the numbers blinking from your bedside clock, the moonlight filtering through the curtains. These once ignored flickers now become messages to your brain. Wake up. Let me introduce you to Harold. He's 72. For most of his life, Harold slept like a rock. But over the past few years, 3:15 a.m. became an unwelcome guest. He'd wake up, wide-eyed and alert, unable to drift back into rest. At first, he thought something was wrong. He blamed stress, or maybe his diet. But then Harold learned about melatonin decline. Instead of fighting his body, Harold chose to work with it. He made his bedroom a sanctuary of darkness. He got rid of his glowing alarm clock. He stopped scrolling on his phone before bed. And every evening, he took a slow walk as the sun went down, letting his body reset its rhythm. These weren't magic fixes. Harold still wakes early sometimes. But now, he doesn't feel confused or frustrated. He understands. He breathes. Sometimes he returns to sleep. Other times, he simply rests. The pressure is gone, and with it, the anxiety. This is the quiet wisdom of aging. It teaches us not to fight every change, but to listen, adapt, and soften into it. When we stop blaming ourselves, we start sleeping more gently. So if you often wake up around 3:00 a.m., consider this. Maybe it's not a problem to solve, but a rhythm to honor. Your body is speaking. Your job is to listen. Stay with us here at Elderly Active Living. There are more gentle truths to uncover and more ways to sleep in harmony with your beautifully changing body. Part 2. The shift in your internal clock. Have you ever noticed yourself drifting off to sleep earlier than you used to? Maybe it's not even 9 p.m. and your eyes are already heavy. Then, without fail, you're wide awake at 3 or 4 a.m., not groggy, not restless, just awake. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. And more importantly, there's nothing wrong with you. What you're experiencing is something called advanced sleep phase. It's a natural, biological shift in your body's internal clock, and it becomes more common as we age. You see, when we're younger, our sleep patterns are tied to a later rhythm: late dinners, evening activities, maybe even watching the late-night news. But as life slows down and the structure of our days softens, our sleep-wake cycle starts to move forward. That means we get sleepy earlier in the evening, and we wake up earlier in the morning. Not because something's broken inside us, but because the body is responding to a quieter, less demanding environment. Fewer commitments, less stimulation, and more peace. It changes our timing, and often we don't even notice it happening. Charles, age 68, found himself dealing with this exact change. After retiring, his days became simpler: dinner at 5:30, a bit of TV, and then sleep by 8:40, 5, or 9:0. He didn't think much of it until he started waking up at 3:00 a.m. sharp. At first, he thought something was wrong. Insomnia, maybe. But after learning about advanced sleep phase, he realized this was his body completing a full cycle. From sleep to wake, right on schedule, just earlier than before. So Charles made small, thoughtful changes. He began reading in the evening under a warm light. He took a slow walk after dinner to extend his wind-down time. He even stayed up a little longer talking with his grandchildren when they visited. Nothing drastic, just nudging his rhythm back gently. And over time, those small shifts brought balance back to his mornings. The takeaway? Your body is not betraying you. It's adapting, listening, responding to the quiet cues of your life. And once you understand what it's doing, you can work with it instead of fighting against it. So the next time you wake up at 3:00 a.m., take a breath. Ask yourself, did I go to bed earlier than usual? Has my routine shifted? Often, that simple reflection is all it takes to ease the worry. And remembering doesn't mean losing control. It means learning to listen more closely to the rhythm of your own life. We believe that rhythm can still be beautiful, even if it starts a little earlier than it used to. If this message resonates with you, we invite you to subscribe, share, and join our growing community of active, mindful, and empowered older adults. You're not just growing older, you're evolving. And that's a rhythm worth embracing. Part 3. The body speaks through whispers. Sometimes waking up at 3:00 a.m. isn't about your sleep schedule. It's not emotional stress or deep reflection. Sometimes it's just your body speaking. As we grow older, the body becomes more sensitive, more responsive to small things we once ignored. A slight ache in the hip, a full bladder, a cool draft across the room. These aren't dramatic symptoms. They're whispers, quiet signals that something's just a little off. And in the stillness of night, they're loud enough to wake us. Many older adults experience this kind of gentle discomfort. Conditions like arthritis can become more noticeable after hours of lying still. What felt fine at bedtime suddenly starts to throb or tighten in the early hours. You shift, you stretch, you try to go back to sleep, but the sensation lingers. Then there's digestion. Acid reflux, especially after a late dinner or a heavier than usual meal, can quietly rise once you lie down. It may not feel like burning pain, it might just be a tickle in the throat or a subtle unease in the chest, but it's enough to nudge you out of slumber. And of course, there's the bladder. A full bladder at 3:00 a.m. is one of the most common reasons older adults wake. Over time, the bladder loses elasticity, and even a small amount can create a strong urge. You wake up, you go, and then, sometimes, you're fully awake and able to return to that peaceful state. But perhaps the most overlooked cause is medication. Blood pressure pills, diuretics, pain reliever, 7 supplements can all affect how the body processes rest. Some disrupt your temperature regulation. Others make you more alert. A few even increase nighttime urination. Eleanor, 76, was always a light sleeper, but recently she'd been waking around 3:30 every single night. No pain, no dreams, just awake. At first, she chalked it up to age, but after a conversation with her doctor, she learned that one of her prescriptions was affecting her hydration levels, leading to more frequent nighttime wake-ups. With a simple adjustment to the dosage and timing, her nights slowly began to feel whole again. Here's the truth. Your body isn't failing. It's alert. It's communicating. And if you wake in the middle of the night, it might just be trying to get your attention. So ask yourself, did I eat too close to bedtime? Did I drink more fluids late in the evening? Have any of my medications changed? When you start asking these gentle questions, you can uncover powerful insights, and often, small adjustments are all it takes to reclaim your rest. You're not fragile, you're aware, and awareness is one of the greatest strengths we carry as we age. Part 4. Quiet habits that shift the sleep clock. Not every 3 a.m. wake-up call comes from something deep or dramatic. Sometimes, it's the little things, your quiet habits, your subtle routines that gently shift your sleep cycle without you ever realizing it. After retirement, life tends to slow down, and that's a beautiful thing. But with that slower pace, dinner might happen earlier, activity levels often drop, the house becomes quieter, the lights are softer. All of this tells your body, sometimes without you meaning to, that bedtime is near. Even if it's just 6 or 7 p.m., your body starts to wind down. These soft cues are powerful. They're not mistakes, but over time, they add up. And what starts as a peaceful evening can end with you waking at 3 a.m., fully alert, wondering why you can't just sleep through the night. Walter, 74, found himself in this exact situation. His days had become so gentle, so calm, that by 8:30, he was dozing off in his favorite chair. At first, he thought nothing of it, but when he began waking up in the early morning hours, night after night, he grew frustrated. Nothing seemed wrong yet, something clearly was off. When Walter stepped back and looked at his habits, the answer was clear. His sleep rhythm had shifted, not because of stress or illness, but because his daily routine had lost its anchors. The structure that once told his body when to rise, when to move, when to eat, when to rest it, had quietly faded. So, Walter made a few gentle changes. He added a brisk walk in the late afternoon. He brightened the lights in the evening. He created a new Ruleno napping after dinner. Small actions. But within a week, he started sleeping more soundly. The early morning wake-ups? Less frequent, less frustrating. And then there's food. Eating dinner too early and skipping a light snack before bed can sometimes lead to a drop in blood sugar around 3 a.m. It may not feel like hunger, but your body knows. It notices. It wakes you up to say, hey, something's missing. Even caffeine, though consumed earlier in the day, can linger longer in your system as you age. What once felt fine at 2 p.m. may now subtly disrupt your sleep hours later. So take a look at your rhythm. Are you sending the right signals to your body? Or are your gentle habits nudging your clock forward without you knowing? The truth is, our bodies love patterns. They crave rhythm. And with just a little awareness, you can bring that rhythm back into harmony, not through force, but through care. And when that happens, 3 a.m. starts to feel less like a mystery and more like a memory. Part 5. The restlessness of emotion and memory. At 3:00 a.m., when the house is still and the world is silent, something else begins to stir your emotions, your memories, your heart. This quiet hour often brings a different kind of wakefulness. It's not your bladder, not your medication, not even your sleep clock. It's your inner life unfolding without distractions, without noise. And in that stillness, the thoughts you pushed aside all day long suddenly have room to rise. For many older adults, this moment isn't about fear or anxiety. It's about remembering. It's about longing. It's about all the moments that mattered and still do. Gloria, now 80, knows this feeling well. Her days are filled with joy gardening, video calls with her grandchildren, watching her favorite comedy shows. But every night, around 3:00 a.m., she finds herself wide awake. Not alarmed, not restless, just present. A quiet ache in her chest, a familiar longing. She remembers her husband the way he used to hum softly in the kitchen, the warmth of his hand as they walked through the park. These memories are gentle, but they carry weight. And in the silence of night, they come alive again. At first, Gloria thought something was wrong with her sleep, but she came to see it differently. It wasn't insomnia, it was reflection. She began keeping a small journal beside her bed. Not a long one, just a few lines each night. A passing memory, a feeling she didn't want to forget. Some nights, she wrote notes to her husband, never to send, but simply to express. That ritual became her release. She added soft music at bedtime, something comforting and familiar. And little by little, those emotional wake-ups became gentler. Not because the pain disappeared, but because it had a place to go. You see, the heart doesn't follow clocks. It doesn't run on a schedule. It rises when it needs to be heard. And if you're waking at 3:00 a.m. with a heaviness in your chest or a tear in your eye, know this: it's not a weakness. It's a sign of being alive, of having lived, of still feeling deeply. This hour can be a time for healing, not with pills or tricks, but with presence, with compassion, with space to feel what needs to be felt. So the next time you find yourself awake, don't fight it. Listen, remember, write, pray, breathe. Give your heart a moment to speak. Because sometimes the most important rest comes after being heard. Part 6. The power of adjusting how small shifts bring big relief. Sometimes, waking up at 3:00 a.m. doesn't come from deep emotions or medical concerns. It comes from something much quieter: your daily habits. When life slows down, your schedule softens too. Maybe dinner moves to 5 p.m. Maybe your evenings become quieter, your lights dimmer, your steps fewer. These changes feel peaceful, but over time, they send your body a message. It's time to sleep earlier. So you start drifting off by 8:30 or 9:00 p.m., and without realizing it, your natural rhythm shifts forward. By 3:00 a.m., your body has already had its fill of sleep, and it gently wakes you, thinking the night is over. Walter, age 74, never considered this. He wasn't in pain. He wasn't stressed. But more and more, he'd wake before dawn, alert and confused. His days were slow. Dinner was early. He'd nod off in the recliner watching TV. And by 9:00, he was in bed. And then came the early mornings, wide-eyed, alone with the clock. At first, he assumed it was just aging. But when he took a closer look, he noticed something deeper. His routine had shifted so gradually that his body simply followed along. So he made a few gentle adjustments. A short afternoon walk became his new habit. He brought more light into the evening, brighter lamps, open curtains. He made a rule: no napping after dinner, even if the chair felt just too cozy. And slowly, his rhythm adjusted. He began going to bed a little later and waking closer to sunrise again. None of it was drastic, but all of it was intentional. And that's the secret. Your body listens, it notices, and the patterns you create, no matter how small, send signals. So if your evenings have become too quiet, too early, your body may simply be responding the only way it knows how. What time do you usually eat dinner? Are you moving enough during the day? Do you spend time in bright light in the afternoon? These questions aren't trivial. They're the breadcrumbs that lead back to balance. Even things like caffeine, harmless in the morning, can linger longer than they used to. A small cup at 10 a.m. might still be in your system by bedtime. So the next time you wake at 3:00 a.m. and wonder, why now? Consider your day, your rhythm, your cues. Because sleep is not just about what happens at night, it's about the whole 24 hours. And with just a few mindful shifts, you can help your body find its way back to deeper, steadier rest. Part 7. The role of the mind when emotions wake us up. Not every 3:00 a.m. Wake up is about light, hormones, or routines. Sometimes it's the heart that stirs first. In the quiet of night, when the world finally hushes, our emotions often speak the loudest. Not in panic, not in fear, but in something softer: memory, longing, reflection. For many older adults, the middle of the night becomes a time when the mind finally finds space to wander, not toward to-do lists or errands, but inward, into the deeper layers of feeling that daylight tends to silence. Maybe you've felt it. You wake up, fully alert. No aches, no noise, no reason, just wide awake. And then the thoughts come. The faces you miss. The things you didn't say. The moments you wish you could hold again. It's not unusual. It's not weakness. It's part of being fully human. Gloria, 80 years old, knows this well. She lost her husband several years ago. During the day, she fills her life with color gardening, FaceTiming her grandchildren, watching old comedies that still make her laugh. But the nights are different. She often wakes around 3:00 a.m., not in distress, but in stillness. And in that stillness, she feels the space where he used to be. At first, she worried, thought maybe something was wrong, but eventually she realized this was grief, not brokenness. So she started a new ritual. She kept a notebook by her bed, not for long journal entries, just a few lines, a memory, a prayer, something she missed. She played soft instrumental music as she fell asleep, and she even wrote letters to her late husband, not always to send, just to feel connected. Those quiet habits didn't erase the ache, but they gave it a place to live, a gentle container, and slowly, her 3:00 a.m. wake-ups became less like interruptions and more like visits from within. Maybe you've had your own version of this. Maybe you felt the weight of an old regret. Maybe your heart has tried to speak through dreams, through silence. If so, listen. You're not being dramatic. You're not being weak. You're being real. Aging brings with it a deeper relationship to memory, to loss, and to love. These thoughts don't come because you're broken. They come because you finally have time to feel them. So the next time your eyes open before dawn, ask yourself, is this my body or my soul? And if it's your soul, maybe all it needs is a moment, a breath, a way to be heard. Because rest isn't only found in sleep, sometimes it's found in expression, in honoring what your heart has carried for so long, in finally letting it speak, listening to the body, understanding the self. So, the next time you find yourself awake at 3:00 a.m., don't rush to fix it. Don't label it as broken. Don't treat it like a flaw in your wiring. Instead, take a deep breath. Let the silence wrap around you and ask gently, what is my body trying to tell me right now? Because waking in the middle of the night, especially as we age, isn't just about melatonin or stiff joints or a too early dinner. Sometimes it's about something deeper, a subtle shift in rhythm, a quiet emotional wave, a lifetime of thoughts surfacing in the stillest hour. These moments are not interruptions, they're invitations. Invitations to listen more deeply than we're used to notice how our routines shape us, to remember what truly matters, to feel what we've tucked away. You see, your body is wise, and your heart even wiser. As we move into the later chapters of life, we're not just aging, we're becoming more in tune, more aware, more present. These early wake-ups are not signs of decline. They're reminders that we're still here, still responding, still very much alive. You may not be able to sleep through the night like you once did, but maybe you don't have to. Maybe rest isn't just about sleep. Maybe it's also about acceptance, grace, a quiet moment of peace before the world wakes again. So tonight, if you open your eyes in the dark, don't be afraid. You're not alone. There's a whole quiet world of people just like you're, reflecting, growing, healing in the hush of 3 a.m. And if this message spoke to you, if you found even one insight that brought comfort or clarity, I invite you to stay with us. Follow Elderly Active Living for more thoughtful content made with your journey in mind. Share this video with someone who might need to hear it. And leave a comment below. Tell us what part of this message resonated most with you. We read every word, and your stories inspire us to keep going. Because you are not forgotten. You are not fading. You are evolving with wisdom, with depth, and with the kind of presence that only comes from living a full, rich life. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, rest gently, breathe deeply, and know you're doing beautifully.